It wasn't like I'd asked for this. Kay and I had been best friends since 3rd grade, and now she was looking at me like I'd turned into a monster. Kayla, it's just me. The same me I was 2 seconds ago, and 2 hours ago, and 2 days ago. I made a frustrated gesture toward my throbbing head. This doesn't change who I am. Kay's eyes teared up again, but thankfully her cell phone started singing Madonna's Material Girl. Automatically, she glanced at the caller ID. I could tell by her rabbit-in-the-headlights expression that it was her boyfriend, Jared. Go on, I said in a flat, tired voice. Ride home with him. Her look of relief was like a slap in my face. Call me later, she threw over her shoulder as she beat a hasty retreat out the side door. I watched her rush across the east lawn to the parking lot. I could see that she had her cell phone smashed to her ear and was talking in animated little bursts to Jared. I'm sure she was already telling him I was turning into a monster. The problem, of course, was that turning into a monster was the brighter of my 2 choices. Choice number 1. I turn into a vampire, which equals a monster in just about any human's mind. Choice number 2, my body rejects the change, and I die. Forever. So, the good news is that I wouldn't have to take the geometry test tomorrow. The bad news was that I'd have to move into the House of Night, a private boarding school in Tulsa's midtown, known by all my friends as the Vampire Finishing School, where I would spend the next 4 years going through bizarre and unnameable physical changes, as well as a total and permanent life shake-up. And that's only if the whole process didn't kill me. Great. I didn't want to do either. I just wanted to attempt to be normal, despite the burden of my mega-conservative parents, my troll-like younger brother, and my oh-so-perfect older sister. I wanted to pass geometry. I wanted to keep my grades up so that I could get accepted into the veterinary college at OSU and get out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. But most of all, I wanted to fit in, at least at school. Home had become hopeless, so all I was left with were my friends and my life away from my family. Now that was being taken away from me too. I rubbed my forehead and then messed with my hair until it semi-covered my eyes, and, with any luck, the mark that had appeared above them. Keeping my head ducked down, like I was fascinated with the goo that somehow formed in my purse, I hurried toward the door that led to the student parking lot. But I stopped short of going outside. Through the side-by-side windows in the institutional-looking doors, I could see Heath. Girls flocked around him, posing and flipping their hair, while guys revved ridiculously big pickup trucks and tried, but mostly failed, to look cool. Doesn't it figure that I would choose that to be attracted to? No, to be fair to myself, I should remember that Heath used to be incredibly sweet, and even now he had his moments, mostly when he bothered to be sober. High-pitched girl giggles flitted to me from the parking lot. Great. Kathy Richter, the biggest hoe in school, was pretending to smack Heath. Even from where I was standing, it was obvious she thought hitting him was some kind of mating ritual. As usual, clueless Heath was just standing there grinning. Well, hell, my day just wasn't going to get any better. And there sat my Robin's Egg Blue 1966 VW Bug right in the middle of them. No, I couldn't go out there. I couldn't walk into the middle of all of them with this thing on my forehead. I'd never be able to be part of them again. I already knew too well what they'd do. I remembered the last kid a tracker had chosen at SIHS. It happened at the beginning of the school year, last year. The tracker had come before school started and had targeted the kid as he was walking to his first hour. I didn't see the tracker, but I did see the kid afterward, for just a second, after he dropped his books and ran out of the building, his new mark glowing on his pale forehead, and tears washing down his 2 white cheeks. I never forgot how crowded the halls had been that morning, and how everyone had backed away from him like he had the plague as he rushed to escape out the front doors of the school. I had been one of those kids who had backed out of his way and stared, even though I'd felt really sorry for him. I just hadn't wanted to be labeled as that one girl who's friends with those freaks. Sort of ironic now, isn't it? Instead of going to my car, I headed for the nearest restroom, which was thankfully empty. There were 3 stalls. Yes, I double-checked each for feet. On one wall were 2 sinks, over which hung 2 medium-sized mirrors. Across from the sinks, the opposite wall was covered with a huge mirror that had a ledge below it for holding brushes and makeup and whatnot. I put my purse and my geometry book on the ledge, took a deep breath, and in one motion lifted my head and brushed back my hair. It was like staring into the face of a familiar stranger. You know, that person you see in a crowd and swear you know, but you really don't? Now she was me, the familiar stranger. She had my eyes. They were the same hazel color that could never decide whether it wanted to be green or brown. But my eyes had never been that big and round. Or had they? She had my hair, long and straight, and almost as dark as my grandma's had been before hers had begun to turn silver. The stranger had my high cheekbones, long, strong nose, and wide mouth. More features from my grandma and her Cherokee ancestors. But my face had never been that pale. I'd always been olivish, much darker skinned than anyone else in my family, but maybe it wasn't that my skin was suddenly so white. Maybe it just looked pale in comparison to the dark blue outline of the crescent moon that was perfectly positioned in the middle of my forehead. Or maybe it was the horrid fluorescent lighting. I hoped it was the lighting. I stared at the exotic-looking tattoo. Mixed with my strong Cherokee features, it seemed to brand me with a mark of wildness, as if I belonged to ancient times when the world was bigger, more barbaric. From this day on, my life would never be the same. And for a moment, just an instant, I forgot about the horror of not belonging and felt a shocking burst of pleasure, while deep inside of me the blood of my grandmother's people rejoiced.